we have one of the best up and coming actors who's actually really setting the stage here, especially with Secret Society 2 Never Enough joining me here on the show here tonight. You may know her as Briana and All Eyez on Me, as well as Tina in the first Secret Society, as well as the second one. Erica Pinkett joins me here on the show here tonight. Erica, welcome to the show. How's your
Hey,
night going?
hey. Oh man, wonderful. Thank you so much for having me. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. How's your night going? How's everything? How you feeling about the success of Secret Society 2 Never Enough? I know this was pretty much announced right after the first Secret Society. It was announced pretty
Yeah.
quickly.
Yes, Miasha Coleman is such a genius. She wrote this trilogy over 15 years ago and turned it into a stage play in 15 years, 16 years later now. We have parts 1 and part 2 of the trilogy in film, and I just feel so grateful to be a part of such an amazing classic. I feel like it's a classic. Part 1 did number 3 on Amazon's overall list. Part 2, we're on our way to number 1. So I'm just so excited about the fan love.
Mhm. The fan love is extensive. I heard that it extends all the way from South Africa to the UK, all over the place,
Yes.
Trinidad.
Yes. It's funny. I went to Bahamas last summer, and as soon as I got to the pool, people were like, "Oh my God, we love Secret Society. It's such a crazy movie. It's so amazing. It's so, like the drama, the twist. It's crazy. We love it." And I went to Ghana to film another project, and the love was the same way. And I think what happens is that stories like this catch on worldwide because they're the first of its kind to be told in this way, in such an honest and genuine fashion. And Miasha Coleman did an amazing job. Her and her husband Rich Coleman executive produced this film. Jamal Hill's an amazing director. Not only did he direct part 1, he also came in and directed part 2. And we just had so many amazing cast and crew. Vivica Fox, Jeremy Meeks, Raina Love does an amazing job bringing Celeste to life. And Deja Parrish, she was introduced as Cece in part 2. So for all of you guys who haven't seen it, make sure you catch up with watching part 1 first.
Absolutely. Go check that out. How did it feel to get back on set and just reconnect with Raina? Because I know the first time that you guys met,
Yes.
you hit it off. And I
Oh
remember the
my
first time hearing
God.
about it that you guys FaceTimed for like
Yeah.
hours talking about each other's life story.
Yes, I love her. We connected so fast because we both, were new actresses on the scene, just wanting to live out our dreams. And we have a lot of similar, upbringing and past experiences. And so we clicked like sisters from day one. And so the chemistry bringing Celeste and Tina's, friendship to life was just so easy. You know what I mean? Because we really have a connection in real life. Our kids are friends, we're friends, we're like a family, and that's why I fell in love with this one particular character. A lot of times in the acting world, they'll tell you don't fall in love with your character or don't judge your character. But, Tina, I really love her, and I really love her and Celeste's relationship because it really does remind me of what friendship should look like. Friendship, in your friendship, you should have an unapologetic love for each other and compassion and understanding. And you should want your friends to win, And I think that's why I fell in love with Tina, because she was just so unapologetically herself. And she just wanted the best for her friends.
Mhm. How did you feel about the character development in this second sequel here?
Oh my gosh, it was great. I wanted to bring Tina to life, so to speak, no pun intended. I wanted to bring her to life in such a way that wasn't too far from the Tina that we had known to grow and love, who was funny and loyal and had Celeste back. I still wanted to bring that. And I also wanted to bring the emotion of, like, wanting revenge, wanting to be vindicated, which, if you guys seen part 2, you see how that happens and how that storyline transpires. So it was really cool. I fell in love with it. Celeste, oh my God, Raina Love does an amazing job. with Celeste's transition, because in part one we see how Celeste was kind of like my little sister. She was kind of like up under me, and we were both hustling and nickel and diamond trying to make it happen. In part two, she's just a superstar, and you just see her go through all these mixed emotions in this roller coaster ride. And it's just never enough drama. It's never enough.
No, and that's why it's called Never Enough as the
Yes.
subtitle right there of the film.
For sure, for
Shout out
sure.
to Raina though. She was on the show a few weeks ago. She did an incredible job as
Yay.
Celeste, reprising her role. Is there any news, because you mentioned the trilogy? Is there already going to be a third one here for Secret
Well,
Society
we're
3?
gonna let Mrs. Coleman, announce that. But it just feels so amazing. Like everywhere we go, people just fell in love with the story, and Miasha really is amazing at storytelling. And just to know that like she came up with this over 15 years ago, that's incredible. She was way ahead of her time. And discussing issues that were taboo to talk about, that is groundbreaking. So I'm just really happy. I'm excited for all of us. I'm especially excited for Miasha Coleman, just to see what she produces in the future as well.
Mhm. I am as well. And I think it's incredible, especially when you're an actor in this industry, you get to step in someone else's shoes and understand their way of life. I think it's the best way to do it.
For sure.
Learn how to just focus and live life while playing this role as potentially someone in the LGBTQ community by playing this
Hmm.
role in this film.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
You learned how in this film how to operate and just
Oh yeah.
what it's like to undergo and see what people in the LGBTQ go through and how they live their
Oh
life.
yeah. Oh, for sure. And ultimately, like, what it is this. Like, we're really not that different. No matter what community people identify as, we all want the same things just as humans, and understanding that, I was able to dive into the story, because it wasn't like me versus Tina or me versus Troy type of thing. I found myself in these characters because, just like these characters, every one of us wants love. Every one of us wants to, you know, um, overcome our obstacles. Every one of us has a desire to live out our dreams, and so these things that Tina can identify with are not far fetched from what everyday humans want. So I found myself, and I think if as actors, it's our job to find ourselves in a character, just
Yeah.
just by living life.
Exactly. In this plot, we already know the plot line, especially the people who've watched Secret Society 2. You guys are trying to make it in Hollywood. And a big plot line to this was the bigger you are, the harder you fall. You spoke
Yeah.
about your journey and the obstacles that both you and Raina faced in making it in this industry and getting opportunities. Would you say that
Yeah.
you yourself, Erica, that you have finally made it in this industry? Because everyone else has their own definition of what making it really is. But do you feel as though at this point you've made it in the industry?
Um, I'll say this. I don't really do it. I don't really do this for like fame or, any kind of like glory from people. I really love the art of storytelling. And if that comes with people, saying my name or telling me how great I did, or saying, wow, the story changed my life, that's awesome. But I really do love the art of storytelling. So I don't really do it for that. You know what I mean? So I don't really even know how to answer that question. No, seriously.
No, no, I understand, and we'll go
Yeah.
back to like the earlier your journey, because I remember hearing about your experiences and making it, and the obstacles that you faced. Is that you flew out to LA to
Oh yeah.
potentially audition for Straight Outta Compton at that time, the
Oh yeah.
NWA biopic with, I believe it was your last $900, and
Let
the
me let me
audition
tell
got pushed away.
let me tell you. So my whole life, which hopefully one day you guys will be able to enjoy this and film, but my whole life story is a movie in itself. But um I am no stranger to Tina's like willingness to like fight in warrior spirit. I am no stranger to that. And I found myself after first of all, after doing a season of reality TV, I realized, first of all, I'm not I'm not displaying my talent here. You know what I mean? Like, yes, it's considered work. Yes, you have producers and writers and you have the whole set and you have cameramen. Like, it's work, but it's not displaying my talent because people think that this is me. I'm not acting, even though I may be acting here, I'm not acting. You know what I mean? So I really wanted to do what I had a passion for. And I ended up saying one day, like, Dag, NWA has this open casting all the way in Compton. I'm flying to LA. I had like my last $900 and I booked a round trip ticket. It was last minute, so it was super expensive. This was back like in 2014, 2015 or something
Mhm.
like that. And I flew to LA, got to the building. There was a sign on the door that was like the casting had been moved. I was devastated, so devastated, because I didn't even plan to financially take care of a hotel or anything. I just planned to go and literally hop on a plane to come back. So I remember just like really crying and really having a moment of like, like, you keep trying and falling and trying and falling and trying and falling. Like, let's just like take a walk. So I remember going to
The
the
Walk of
Hollywood,
Fame, I heard about this.
yes,
Yeah.
the Walk of Fame, and stumbled on John Singleton's star. And I was just so ecstatic. I don't know, like in that moment, I was like, wow, like I've always been a fan of his. I always felt like he pushed the envelope. I loved how he's told stories. And I also am obsessed with Tupac. So I, in that moment, remember saying, if John Singleton ever directs the Tupac biopic, I want to be in that movie. I had no idea this was greenlit. I had no idea this was in motion. I just always knew people were asking. There was a demand for his biopic. And literally months later, I end up meeting a woman named Winsome Sinclair, who met me
He
for
actually
5 minutes.
casted for Juice, I heard.
Yeah, she casted for Juice. Tupac was one of her mentees. She loved him. She loved working with him. And we were going on and on for like 10 minutes about how I love Tupac. I ran off to another interview. 10 months after that, she ends up calling me and asking me if I could audition for a role in the Tupac biopic. And I thought that was insane because I'm like, I just manifested this. Like, I just had this moment after being let down in LA. So long story short, guys, just like, no matter how many times you fall, I'm telling you, if you keep knocking, if you keep trying and sowing good seeds towards whatever your goal is, you're going to win. You're going to win. And your definition of success does not have to be everyone else's definition. Sometimes making that first step is a win. So, I feel like gratitude is a magnet for miracles. I always say this, and every little accomplishment that I've ever had, I've always been super grateful. So that's why, like, questions like, do you think you made it? It's hard for me to answer those questions because I'm just so grateful for
Yeah.
everything. um, but I'm really excited about, the future of Secret Society as a brand, because everywhere you go, people are talking about it. There's hand sanitizer, there's chips. I'm like, it's incredible. So I'm just excited to see the future of this. And further, in my story, after getting casted for All Eyez on Me, people were just calling me like, can you be a part of this project? I've done appearances in different shows, and I've done 9 other films. Some haven't been released yet. And I joined a cast of a very popular show. I can't really say the name of it right now, but I'll be back and we'll talk about that in the next few months. But I have another movie coming out September 1st called Single Not Searching, that I filmed in Ghana with Lisa Ray, Brayley Evans, and so many other amazing, huge Nollywood stars. Like, Nollywood is huge. So Ghana, spending a month in Ghana was an incredible life-changing experience. So yeah, that'll be coming out. It's gonna be on Netflix. So yeah, you guys can watch Secret Society 1 and 2, and then stay tuned for September 1st, Single Not Searching.
That's right. And you're originally from Boston, and your favorite
Yes.
Tupac song growing up was Brenda's Got a
Brenda's got a
Baby.
baby.
What was your
You
introduction
did
to
your
Tupac?
you did your research. Oh my gosh. If I'm being candid, growing up, I grew up in Boston, a time where certain neighborhoods weren't gentrified yet. And before they were gentrified, a lot of them were like, drug infested and things like that. And that story of Boston, I don't think has really been told in its entirety. Um, well, not yet at least. But anyway, growing up seeing that, I saw so many stories that were similar to the scenarios in Brenda's Got a Baby. So once I heard that, I was like, this guy is genius. He's speaking our language, you know what I mean? And he's really connecting with people that remind me of the people I grew up with. It seemed like no one else understood because they just didn't want to see that it was happening. And here he is pushing the envelope and talking about these things. So I really thought that he was really layered and complicated. And I really respected that.
Mhm. You brought up an interesting point before, and it was actually one of the questions I wanted to ask you here tonight. Do you think, because you mentioned it before, we don't know the full story, do you think that the Black history in Boston is kind of overshadowed and it should be more highlighted? And what it should be, but do you think it eventually will? Because when people think of Boston, they always think, oh, it's racist white people, but the Black history really isn't highlighted out there because
Oh
Malcolm
yeah.
X lived in Boston, and you had
Oh
Guru
yeah.
from Boston, and
Oh yeah.
there's hip hop history there as well as Ed OG and the Bulldogs. Do you think
Yeah.
that it eventually will come to light?
I mean, well, this is a great question because I actually used to be an operations manager for an amazing nonprofit in Boston called My Town,
Okay.
and it stood for Multicultural Youth Tours of What's Now. So like we would hire youth from 14 to 18 to pretty much do oral histories of the 16 neighborhoods in Boston and get the history from the centenarians that lived in the neighborhoods
Mhm.
that wasn't available at the libraries. And I'm telling you, the rich history that it is in Boston is crazy. I mean, there's 16 neighborhoods, and you and I both know, you can go to the North End and get Italian food. You can go to South Boston and get Irish food. You can go to JP and get Cuban food. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the Chinatown to get some great Chinese food. So you have like ethnic groups, ethnic pockets everywhere throughout the city. So many stories that haven't been told. So that's the cool thing about Boston. I think for filmmakers, for up and coming filmmakers that are in Boston that may be listening to this, you have an opportunity, and myself, we have an opportunity to tell those stories because that's an untapped market.
I agree, and eventually, I'm sure it will be told, and it's important that it does because that's an important part of Boston that I think needs to be highlighted and showcased. And
Yeah.
your experience, you went to Howard and were originally going to major in psychology.
Yes, and it's cool because when I went to Howard, that's when I learned how to hustle. That's when I learned how to like, okay, you're not home, you're not in Boston, you're in a new city, you're on campus with people from all over the world. And it was just an amazing experience. I don't think there's anything that I could put in words that really fully describes how awesome that experience was, but it really set the stage for how I would hustle throughout the rest of my adulthood. Um, and after Howard, I ended up working as a caseworker at a Department of Youth Services in Boston for young girls who, you know, were in the system from 12 to 21. So that was an amazing experience as well, but it also was kind of bittersweet, because here I am wanting to do a good thing and, help these girls, but at the same time, you work for the state. So there's certain guidelines and regulations, and you kind of start feeling helpless after you see these girls in and out the system every single day, So I'll always have a love for Boston and fighting for, the youth there forever. So hopefully, as I continue to gain success and really put my mark on the acting and film industry, I hope that I can start giving back a lot more and doing a lot more effective work in Boston.
Mhm. Your journey is just incredible. Just reading all about it and learning about it from you being from Boston, having your own tax business, lipstick line, moving all the way to Atlanta, getting independent films and getting the opportunities to actually be in music videos with Trey Songs, DJ K
Yeah.
Slay and Mano back in the day, T-Pain Up
Wow.
Down. I know all about the music video
Yeah.
side of the thing, but would it be a desire for you because once you took these film classes, you fell in love with it? Would you eventually have an interest in getting behind the camera and potentially directing something of your own?
Oh, for sure, for sure. I'm a person I always, I started off doing videos on the side of my regular 9 to 5, and then use that because I really wanted to work with filmmakers. These directors want to direct films, and guess what? Benny Boom, who I worked with Trey Songs, and what was it, Trey Songs and Ti, I think, in that video. Benny Boom later directed All Eyes on Me, and he was in that audition room. And so, it's important to carry yourself professionally at all times because these people later, you'll see them and they may be on the opposite end and they may be on the hiring or firing, you know, end of the table. So it was awesome to be able to, get his attention and then gain his respect enough for them to hire me to bring Briana to life and All Eyes on Me.
You definitely brought her to life. And I know this was something that was difficult because you discussed this with your acting
Oh,
coaches that you kept judging the character.
yes, yes, yes. It was so hard, I love Tupac. And so people were like, how are you gonna do this? I'm like, listen, I can't judge her. As much as I love him, I have to find the human connection in her. And so I didn't want to judge that moment because we know that Pac didn't do anything. Um, but in that moment, I wanted to have her react in such a way that displayed, if that did happen, how she would react.
Mhm. Do you remember the first day you saw Demetrius Shipp on set and just building that chemistry with him because he looks just like Tupac?
Oh my God, crazy. It was so crazy. I took a double the first time we filmed. Actually, we were in the courtroom, so we automatically like had to like hate each other, so that was awkward. That was super awkward, but he really resembles Pac. He's a great actor. He really brought his mannerisms to life. He did an amazing job.
He did. Do you think that the artists today, because there's never going to be a Tupac Shakur again, the 90s was the golden era, that's confirmed already. Do you
Yeah.
think that the artists today truly understand Tupac's message and movement? Because when you listen to some of these kids' songs, and I'm just being real about it, it doesn't embody the message of the 90s, and there's not too many artists out here that are carrying on the movement and having an actual real message.
Yeah, then there's not, but there are a few artists that I feel like try to,
Be
you know,
lyrical and
be
try, at least
lyrical and
try.
lift it up,
Yeah.
like there are a few. And for those artists, those are the artists that I pay attention to. The other ones, like I don't really, I feel like whatever you feed yourself every day, that's the life that you live, and I'm not about to feed myself the BS and wonder why I have anxiety or depression or like, you know what I'm saying? Or out here like feeling like shoot 'em up, bang bang. Like I don't feed myself things that don't, that aren't healthy for me. So I like listening to, like Kendrick Lamar and, J. Cole. Lil Baby is actually cool. He's dope too. There's a lot of artists I feel like they're good for the vibe or like club. But when you want something lyrical and something to really pay attention to, there's certain artists that I go to for that kind of inspiration.
I know exactly what you mean. A strong point.
Yeah.
LT Hutton was someone that fought for you as well and believed in your vision as
Yes.
soon as he saw you on set because you came from reality TV with Love and Hip Hop, and we'll get into one I have one question about that and just not being. We'll get right into that, but tell me about LT Hutton and how he just saw your
Yeah.
vision and was immediately fighting for you.
Yeah, well, when I came in and auditioned, I had to do two scenes back to back. They were polar opposite in emotion. And I was so hungry. I'm telling you, like, I'm a kid, I'm from Boston. Like, you know how we hustle. Like, everything you catch, you eat. I'm the kid that at 14 I had a job, was helping paying bills. You know how it is like growing up in the city. And um so I knew out of all those people I saw in the hallway, I just knew that nobody wanted it as much as I did. So the hunger that I went in there with was like vicious, and I think that displayed because I had to hysterically have this like, reaction after getting, you know, sexually assaulted. So that emotion, I think, woke people up if they thought that, I was just some caricature from reality TV. I think that's what gained their attention.
Yeah.
Um, and he was just like, wow, okay. I think I speak for everyone on the panel that like you really blew us away with that. So that was really amazing. And sometimes that's all it takes. People just need an opportunity to display whatever talent or gifts they have. That's why I tell people, listen, if you stop, you'll never get that opportunity. If you quit because it's hard and just take the easy way out, you'll never get the opportunity and you'll always regret. Later down the line, you'll resent yourself because you never gave yourself a shot. So just keep trying, man. Keep trying and keep going after the things that you love because it doesn't even feel like work. It really,
No.
even when you fail, it's like, okay, I'm going to do it again tomorrow because you're insane about the things you love.
Exactly.
So that's who I am. It's like this thing, you have to be slightly insane to like to go after it. But it all at the end of the day for me it's all about legacy. Like when I'm not here anymore, what will people say about me and what does my body of work say about me. So I want to leave behind great work and I want to help tell great stories.
Mhm. Unfortunately, with the All Eyes on Me biopic, there was some backlash when it came out. There was just so many haters out there and people judging it for no reason. Did you notice anything as far as your role went because of the particular role that you played, especially when you look at how things because you basically played the original Amber Heard. It was
Hmm.
did you
Yeah.
notice that there was some backlash and judgment of just you facing anything of your character that you portrayed when the movie came out?
I mean, people will say a lot of things. I think like I swear I don't pay attention to that stuff.
Yeah.
I really don't because whatever, like I said earlier, whatever you feed yourself is kind of it becomes your reality. So for me, I was more so paying attention to like the love that we were getting, and which was dope. The backlash, I feel like it came from like people hopping on bandwagons, and if you genuinely didn't like it, it's cool. But like Pac has told his story, in my opinion, Pac has told his story himself so many times. So this movie was a direct reflection of the story that he told himself with news articles, with documentaries, like with things we
Interviews.
already yeah, interviews. So like what else was people expecting? Like something that they didn't know because Pac lived out loud. So I think it was a phenomenal job. Obviously, when you're doing a film, you're only allowed 2 hours to tell such an amazing story. So it must have been so hard on the executive producers to really, pick and choose like what they wanted to keep, what they didn't want to keep. Um, and I just love that when I got casted, the the queen, Afeni Shakur was definitely one of the producers
Mhm.
on my call sheet. So
Did you get to meet her while she was
I
before she
I
passed?
I did not, and that
Oh.
was so heartbreaking for me. I was really looking forward to that. I still have that call sheet with her name on it. It's just one of the most. I was really looking forward to that. I had so much I wanted to say to her. So So but yeah, that was really, really sad for all of us on set.
It definitely was. Rest in peace to her, raising one of the greatest, the greatest hip hop artist of all time, the most polarizing and impactful. He's the face of hip hop. There's no doubt about it. Loving
For sure.
hip hop. I just want to get into this one question
Mhm.
here what is the key to not getting typecast? Because you've spoken about they typecast your image in this and then how it's scripted. So what is the key to not being typecast into a reality show?
I mean, just know what you're getting into prior to, for me, I'll tell the truth. I didn't have a manager. I was a girl who just left an abusive relationship, who was working, double shifts to make ends meet. And I saw an opportunity to audition for a show, and I was like, sure. you know and that's what happened. But for you guys out there who aren't in that situation, you know make sure you have your t's crossed and your i's dotted, and you know what you're getting into, and you know that you have some kind of control over your image or how you're being displayed. If you don't, I would advise you not get into it unless you have a plan, unless that image is helpful to or conducive to whatever your goal is. But if it's not, it can actually hurt. So just be aware of that.
You
Yeah.
mentioned earlier that you want to leave your legacy behind and you have just your life story is a movie. You actually, I heard, were working on a book and wanting to get a major publishing deal as well as a script,
Yes.
I heard.
Yes. So I have been since 2015. I have been working on a book and a film since 2018. I've been working on a series idea. So, and I've just been so inspired by these female producers that I've had the amazing opportunity to work with, like Miasha Coleman and, Tressa. She actually is the CEO of Megamind. We just did a film with Country Wayne that's coming out around Halloween. So, these females, seeing them run their businesses and run their empires, also being wives and moms, like it's so inspiring. And I'm like, I can do that too, and I feel so inspired and grateful to have worked under amazing women that open the doors and make it possible and easier for people like myself to transition from in front of the camera to behind the camera.
And I'm sure that's going to be happening soon. Erica, is there anything else you want to let your fans know that we didn't touch on in this interview?
I love y'all. I really do. I love you guys. I love all of our supporters who are bringing Secret Society to a closer and closer to number one. Thank you guys so much. Thank you so much, and thank you guys for having me.
Of course. Thank you, Erica. I appreciate it. They can follow you on Instagram and Twitter at Erica Pinkett. Make sure you give her a follow. Go check out Secret Society 2, Never Enough. And let's get
Yes.
this thing to number one on the top charts here, Amazon Prime.
Yes. Thank you so
Of
much.
course. And thank you to
Uh,
your management for setting us up. Anytime you need any promo, Erica,
yeah.
you're always welcome on the show.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate you.
Of course. Anytime. Enjoy the rest of your night and stay safe. All right, Erica?
All right, you too,
Yep.
sweetie.
Take
All
care.
right, bye bye.
Bye bye.